Now, your stories, your struggles, and your successes. This is Focus on South Florida.
Welcome back, everyone. Since 1978, the Family Resource Center of South Florida has been championing the rights of children to grow up in a healthy and safe environment. But child abuse and neglect continues to be a pressing problem in Florida. Now, a new state law is designed to help reduce child abuse by strengthening child abuse reporting obligations. Joining me to talk about this more today is Dr. Oren Wunderman. He's the Executive Director of the Family Resource Center, and Maria Del Mar Velasco. She's worked with the FRC to help build family right through fostering and eventually adopting. Thank you both so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
This is long overdue, many would say, and a great guest to this show. Both Ron Book and his daughter Lauren have really championed this, Lauren having lived it. Why do you think this is so important?
Well, the scandal concerning Jerry Sandusky showed that unless there are laws that require reporting of known or suspected abuse by non-parents, people may not act. And so now that we have this new law, which is called Protection of Vulnerable Persons Act, which was enacted in October of 2012, people should know that there is a legal requirement to report to the Florida Abuse Registry known or suspected abuse, exploitation, or neglect, whether it is done by a parent or a non-parent.
Because, for example, that you use in the Sandusky case, what you're suggesting is that university had an obligation to call.
Absolutely, and the fact that it was done by a non-parent gave them some room to bob and weave.
Now, of course, that situation would have to happen here in Florida. I don't know if they have this law there. You have raised children that have been rescued from the arms of abuse. Why do you think this could make a difference?
I think this could make a difference because there are circumstances where people feel like perhaps they don't need to report because it won't make a difference. But actually, stepping out and calling the hotline and reporting, you could actually save a life.
And do you think by mandating it in this sense, putting an onus like, hey, you can't look the other way, because it used to be teachers, right? Teachers were obligated reporters. So this broadens it out basically to everyone now?
Well, that's correct. Teachers continue to be obligated reporters, and actually the statute did say previously that anyone who knew or suspected abuse, exploitation, or neglect by a parent or caretaker had an obligation to report it, and now it's been expanded to anyone who suspects abuse, exploitation, or neglect by a parent or non-parent has an obligation to report it. The fine for not reporting it for an individual is now $5,000. The fine for a public state school or for a private school is now $1 million per incident.
Wow. So you put a financial price on that to force particularly institutions to do it. That seems to make a lot of sense. But what about the other side of it? So we're push more people to make those calls. I know a lot of folks who have called into the registry and said, I suspect abuse, getting over their fear to call in. And they're oftentimes met with, you know, it doesn't sound like you really got abuse there, and they feel their calls thrown away.
Well, as someone who's used the abuse registry now for about 40 years, and I've certainly had that experience, my advice is you put it in writing and you direct it to the director of the abuse registry. So you say to them, essentially you bypass the immediate worker who made a determination. You address in writing an email to the director of abuse registry. And what I also think works is you say, wouldn't it be a shame if this child were abused and it made its way into the public media of one more example where abuse could have been avoided if the state had acted. And my experience has been, then it works.
That helps. But I can tell you, as a member of the media, where I have investigated cases of suspected abuse, we make the phone calls, and there have been many cases where we have absolutely gotten the brush off. It's just, it is true, and I'll continue to work those cases. At the end of the day, you know why this is also important, because you look into the eyes of children at night who were abused and neglected, and what do you see in them flowering in a home of love?
You know, it's incredible. Despite the challenges that they've come through, happy disposition, the resilience that they have. It's almost, we feel like we've been touched by angels. Yeah, and we feel blessed that we're honored to be able to make a difference in these kids' lives. And it is emotionally challenging, especially, you know, if they eventually, you know, leave your home. But it's incredible the need that we have here locally. When we considered adoption, we had looked internationally and private, and we didn't realize what an incredible need there was in the public.
Well, I think everyone thanks you, because for parents like you that take these children, it's amazing. It affects everybody, and at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. And we thank you so much for all the work that you've done in pushing this forward. And let's stay on the folks who answer the phones.
I agree.
Right? Okay. Thank you.